Let's make a quilt in a day that only uses a layer cake. But before I get started, I am using a layer cake called Bloomsbury from Moda Fabrics. And this collection is pretty old, and I have been going through my old sewing closet and finding some of those hidden gems, and I thought I should finally put them to good use. Now, a layer cake is a 10-inch square, just in case you are not familiar with them. But what I am doing here is selecting a few layer cakes from this bundle, and we are going to be chopping them into fours. Now, I will have a free PDF pattern down below in the description, which will tell you how many squares you will need to cut for the quilt size that you are planning on making. Now that free PDF pattern is available in 5 quilt sizes: baby, throw, twin, queen, and king. And once you have selected a few, go ahead and stack a few on top of each other and first cut a 5-inch by 10-inch rectangle. Then if you do have a rotating mat, go ahead and turn your mat around and cut your rectangles into a 5-inch square. Now you will be yielding 4 5-inch squares per layer cake. So go ahead and repeat these steps for the amount that you will need for the quilt size you are making. But once all of those 5-inch squares are cut, it is time to create a 4 patch. So what you're going to do is select 4 different prints and sew your blocks together to form rows. And then lastly, sew those rows together to complete the 4 patch. Now all you'll need to do is repeat these same steps until you have enough 4 patches for the quilt size you're making. But once all those 4 patches are complete, you will need to trim those remaining 10-inch squares down to a 9.5-inch square, which will be the same size as your 4 patch. If for some reason your 4 patches are a little bit smaller, just trim your 10-inch squares down to the size that your 4 patch is. So don't stress if your 4 patch is not a 9.5-inch square, because it will be an easy fix. We can just trim everything to make it all the same size. But once everything is trimmed down, it is time to lay your quilt out. So go ahead and start with that 9.5-inch square first, followed by your 4 patch, and then alternate between the 2 blocks. Then for your next row, you will start with the 4 patch and then alternate between the 2. And as always, sew your blocks together to form rows. Then lastly, sew those rows together to complete the quilt top. And here is what my completed quilt top looks like. And here is the backing I will be using. Now this backing isn't from this collection specifically, but it is pretty close in color, which will do perfectly. Now, I would have preferred to use one of these blue thread colors since the quilt top is majority of blue tones, but since I am using this light pink backing, I am going to use this glide thread called Coral instead. Now, here is what the final quilt looks like all quilted out, and I went ahead and quilted this edge-to-edge pattern called Peacock, and I will have a link down below in the description. If you could, please take a moment to hit that like and subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you can be notified for your next amazing quilt project.